thank you for joining with me. We are reading with the Course Companions group led up by Emily Bennington. We are reading out of A Course in Miracles, the complete and annotated edition, edited by Robert Perry. We are on Chapter 18, The Blessing of the Holy Relationship, and this is Section 3, The Advance to Truth. And we will start with a prayer. Dear Father, if left to our own devices, our perception will be skewed. We surrender to you everything that we think and feel. God, please take our past, plan our future, send your Spirit to redeem our mind that we might be set free. May we be your channel, God, and serve the world. God, please enable us to set aside everything we think we know about everything, God. Allow us to have an open mind and a new experience. Thank you so much. We love you. Amen. Section 3 of Chapter 18, The Blessing of the Holy Relationship. This is the advance to truth. You who have spent your lives in bringing truth to illusion, reality to fantasy, have walked the way of dreams. For you have gone from waking to sleeping and on to yet deeper sleep. Each dream has led to other dreams, and every fantasy that seemed to bring a light into the darkness, but made the darkness deeper. Your goal was darkness in which no ray of light could enter, and you sought a blackness so complete that you could hide from truth forever in complete insanity. What you forgot was simply that God cannot destroy himself. The light is in you. Darkness can cover it, but it cannot put it out. Footnote 8, John 1:5. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. The Good News Translation, first published in 1966, the year before this dictation. The good news for modern man, and the darkness has never put it out. As the light comes nearer, you will rush into darkness, shrinking from the truth, sometimes retreating to lesser forms of fear and sometimes to stark terror. But you will advance because your goal is the advance from fear to truth. You know this. The goal which you accepted is the goal of knowledge, for which you signified your willingness. Fear seems to live in darkness. When you are afraid, you have stepped back. Let us then join quickly in an instant of light, and it will be enough to remind you that your goal is light. Truth has rushed to meet you since you called upon it. If you knew who walks beside you on this way which you have chosen, fear would be impossible. You do not know because the journey into darkness has been long and cruel, and you have gone deep into it. The little flicker of your eyelids, and we'll go down and read footnote 9. This refers to the holy instant in which two holy relationship partners first join in a common goal. Specifically, it refers to Helen and Bill's instant of joining in pursuit of another way in June of 1965. And that references the little flicker of your eyelids. The little flicker of your eyelids closed so long has not yet been sufficient to give you confidence in yourselves, so long despised. You go toward love, still hating it and terribly afraid of its judgment upon you, and you do not realize that you are not afraid of love, but only of what you made of it. You are advancing to love's meaning and away from all illusions in which you have surrounded it. When you retreat to the illusions, your fear increases, for there is little doubt that what you think it means is fearful. But what is that to us who have traveled surely and very swiftly away from fear? You who hold each other's hands also hold mine, for when you joined each other, you were not alone. Do you believe that I would leave you in the darkness you agreed to leave with me? In your relationship is the world's light, and fear must disappear before you now. Be tempted not to snatch away the gift of faith you offered each other. You will succeed only in frightening yourselves. The gift is given forever, for God Himself received it. You cannot take it back. You have accepted God. The holiness of your relationship is established in heaven. You do not realize what you accepted, but remember that your understanding is not necessary. Footnote 2, and that's from chapter 16, section 2. Therefore, your understanding cannot be necessary. All that was necessary was merely the wish to understand. That wish was the desire to be holy. The will of God is granted you, for you desire the only thing that you ever had or ever were. Each instant that we spend together will teach you that this goal is possible and will strengthen your desire to reach it. And in your desire lies its accomplishment. Your desire is now in complete accord with all the power of the Holy Spirit's will. No little faltering footstep that you may take can separate your desire from His will and from His strength. I hold your hand as surely as you agreed to take each other's. You will not separate, for I will stand with you, and I will walk with you in your advance to truth. And where we go, we carry God with us. In your relationship, you have joined with me in bringing heaven to the Son of God who hid in darkness. You have been willing to bring the darkness to light, and this willingness has given strength to everyone who would remain in darkness. Those who would see will see, and they will join with me in carrying their light into the darkness, when the darkness in them is offered to the light and is removed forever. My need for you, joined with me in the holy light of your relationship, is your need for salvation. Would I not give you what you gave to me? For when you joined each other, you answered me. You, who are now the bringers of salvation, have the function of bringing light to darkness. The darkness in you has been brought to light. Carry it back to darkness from the holy instant to which you brought it. Footnote 11. To clarify pronouns, carry it, the light, back to darkness from the holy instant to which you brought it, the darkness in you. We are made whole in our desire to make whole. Let not time worry you, for all the fear that you experience is really past. Time has been readjusted to help us do together what your separate paths would hinder. You have gone past fear, for no two minds can join in the desire for love without love's joining them. Not one light in heaven but goes with you. Not one ray that shines forever in the mind of God but shines on you. Heaven is joined with you in your advance to heaven. When such great light has joined with you to give the little spark of your desire the power of God Himself, can you remain in darkness? You are coming home together after a long and meaningless journey which you undertook apart and which led nowhere. You have found each other and will light each other's way. And from this light will the great rays extend back into darkness and forward unto God, to shine away the past, and so make room for His eternal presence, in which everything is radiant in the light. And now we will read Robert Perry's commentary of this beautiful section. Now we will read Robert Perry's commentary, day 228, section 3, The Advance to Truth. In this section, the two holy relationship partners, which were originally Helen and Bill, of course, are now journeying together toward the truth. I had struggled with that word. As I read this section, it occurred to me that its picture of the advance to truth bears almost no resemblance to the pictures that we perhaps usually carry. In what I'm calling our usual picture, we are the hunter, and the truth is our elusive quarry. We track our white stag looking for the faintest footprints, the smallest broken twigs, the subtlest signs of recent presence. We sometimes lose heart because our quarry is nowhere to be seen. Yet our unquenchable desire drives us forward, and then we catch a glimpse of the stag standing majestically upon the ridge, and we hurry toward it with single-minded speed and silence, filled with renewed hope that we can at last bring it down. This is a comforting view, for we are the hero of this story. We are the ones devoting our full energies to laying hold of truth, while it either ignores us or actively eludes us. What a reassuring story this is to tell ourselves. It is also a story that bears no resemblance to the one Jesus tells here. How does he see our advance to truth? We begin with a lifetime of chasing dreams and fantasies. All we sought was a pleasant room in the house of dreams. But dreams take place in sleep, and sleep takes place in darkness. That's why Jesus says your goal was darkness in which no ray of light could enter. In our sleep, though, our fingers happened upon our brothers, and the two of us joined hands. We then turned our heads, and with a little flicker of our eyelids, briefly saw each other for the very first time. This joining was simultaneously the acceptance of a goal. It was not a goal that we set, but rather one that we merely accepted. Indeed, we have no idea of all that we accepted in that moment. We accepted holiness into our relationship. Ultimately, we accepted God. In that single moment, reality came flooding into our relationship. Now our journey has begun. It is a journey toward love. But this is not a quarry we single-mindedly pursue. Rather, real love, which is infinitely forgiving, non-exclusive, and ever-extending, is the very thing we have spent our lives hiding from. Given that, we are hardly going to journey toward it without ambivalence. The fact is that we are afraid of love, afraid of what it asks of us, and afraid that it's judging us for how unloving we are. And so we take a step toward it and then tend to retreat away from it, back into the darkness we came from. Indeed, we are tempted to just let go of our brother's hand. Before we took it, we were unified inside. We knew what we wanted. Now things have gotten very confusing. Yet, while we lurch forward and back and consider dropping our brother's hand, altogether we are not alone. The truth that we profess to seek is with us, by our side every step of the way, providing comfort and guidance for our journey. In a beautiful line, Jesus says, "If you knew who walks beside you on this way which you have chosen, fear would be impossible." This who is probably God, but Jesus has joined us too. He is so grateful to us for joining him that he would never leave us. I'm sorry. Do you see the difference between Jesus' picture of the journey and the one I sketched out earlier? In this picture, we are barely cooperating in a process we are deeply ambivalent about as we travel toward a goal we are terribly afraid of. Yet we are literally surrounded by loving support, and we all forget that, I know I do. I can only speak for myself. So much for being the hero of this story. But we don't have to be, since there is so much help for us. What would Jesus have us do? A few things stand out. First, we need to join with him in holy instance. we need to have instants of light in which we briefly take his hand and forget everything else. These, he says, will teach you that this goal is possible and will strengthen your desire to reach it. Second, we need to realize that we have a responsibility beyond just the two of us. Together we have touched the light, and now we are called to bring that light into the darkness of the world. We will only be made whole as we desire to make everyone else whole. Finally, despite all our ambivalence, we should just be so grateful. Do you feel the gratitude implied in these lines? You are coming home together after a long and meaningless journey which you undertook apart and which led nowhere. You have found each other and will light each other's way. After all our lonely journeying, we have found each other. After all our senseless wandering, we are walking home together. Who cares if the journey is difficult at times? Who cares if we aren't the hero of this story? How can we not be endlessly grateful? I love this section. Thank you so much for joining with me in this section and the Advance to Truth. Day 228, Section 3, the Advance to Truth. I love you. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.